Okay, Joe Diamede here, Telly Montbron, sitting amongst the flowers with Merlin, or Merlin, as you say it in French. And we met, well, because of bicycles, surprise, surprise. But many of us in this region of the world and all over the world, we have many, many things we do in our life, many different ways that we work, that we earn our money, that we find our passions. Merlin has just found the bicycle in his life in the camping way. He always rode bicycles with his dad, and that's how we met. We were talking about his bicycle excursions and how he married it up with his camping. And now he's on a bicycle camping trip. And he was out in the mountains and he's come back. But we're not going to talk about the cycling because Merlin also lived in Morocco for 3 years and he was in the film industry. So I'm going to let Merlin introduce himself and talk about his journey in the film world, not the bike world. How are you, Merlin?
I'm doing great, thank you, Joe.
So, film. Film is your passion. One of your many passions. Gardening, and we'll put the list. The list can get longer and longer. But how did you fall into the film world? Did you study it as a young child? Were you always passionate about films? So how did you get into this world of filmmaking?
Well, I think ever since I was a very young kid, I've always been fascinated by moving image, and but it's been as a kid, I didn't dare to dream to make filmmaking a passion or even a job, and so I think I was 20 years old when I finally embraced that dream, and I said, okay, I just want to give it a go. I just want to try to do it because maybe the dream was too big for me. So I was turning around at the beginning, turning around the cinema. I didn't know what to do, and I thought, oh yeah, I could be a film critic. It would be nice to get paid to see films and write about them. And but yeah, that wasn't the heart of the passion. And so yeah, when I was studying film critique and history at the university, at one point I thought to myself, well, where should I stand? Where is it better for me, on that side of the screen or on the other side? So of course, when I started asking myself that question, the answer was yeah, on the other side. So
The other side of the screen, meaning the other side of the camera, or
yeah, just the side, but you don't know what's happening in the making process basically. So I went to a film school in Brussels. I didn't want to go to a French Parisian film school because I didn't really like the mentality, and I really wanted to experiment, to make films and learning by that way, and that wasn't quite what they were proposing in France. So I went to Brussels, and but in the end, that film school wasn't a good fit for me either. So I went there. I stayed for a month, and I quit the film school, and I started on my own in France with small projects, a bit amateur, a bit unpaid, but it was a start, and the project got a bit bigger, but was really really hard to find a way to be accepted, to have a chance to show that I can do it, I can help, and because that's the way I wanted to learn.
But let me interrupt quickly to ask you a question about film. You quit after a month, so it's a big thing. So you were, I'm assuming, what in your young 20s, and you went to university. So you moved from your native Brittany. You're from Brittany in France. So you moved from Brittany to Belgium, ready to go to school for 2, 3 years, whatever, however length of the course, and you quit after a month. Can you just quickly, that's it's a big, you just threw that in there as a sentence, but quitting university after you moved your life over there must have been quite a big decision. Why did you decide to leave the film school?
Well, actually, because I was 21 at that time, and the entrance was over concours in French. How would you say that? Just a test.
Oh yeah, yeah, the entrance exam. Mhm.
Yeah, the entrance exam. It was over a month, and there were several of them inside. There were several, and so it was a long process. And I made it until almost the end, and but I realized that yeah, it wasn't a fit for me, and it was too school-like. It was too, I don't know, and I already
Academic, too
yeah,
academic.
academic exactly, and theoretical as well. And I already studied history and political sciences for 3 years before that, and the course was to study the theory of cinema for 3 years, and maybe after that taking a camera and starting making things. So I would have been 24 or something like that. So it wasn't my tempo. It wasn't the good pace for me.
You
So
wanted to get your hands on the camera, get your
yeah,
eye in that viewfinder.
yeah, exactly. And actually, I've always preferred to learn things by making, by touching, by experimenting. So yeah, it was quite a big thing. But I just listened to my instincts that it wasn't the right place for me. So I just said it was during a jury, an exam in person in front of four people, and I just told them, yeah, it's just I'm not a good fit for that school, and the other way around. So just bye. And I didn't think twice about it. And after that, I thought, yeah, maybe that was a bit too fast. What did I do? I just throw myself into the emptiness. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I think it was the start of just taking my fate into my hands and just, yeah, accepting that I don't control anything and open myself to meeting people, because it's all about that in that industry, or that in art. It's just meeting the right people who will trust you, and that you will trust, and you will bring something to them.
Cool. All right, that's what I wanted to get at. So you started following. You're so right there, 21 years old. You felt like following your heart was more correct than staying in the school, even though it was a prestigious school, and you would have, learned the theory. Like you said, you would have been 24, 25 before you got your hands on the camera. So what brought you then? So you wound up at 25. You were in Morocco, 24, 25.
22.
Oh, so let's jump.
To
Let's
Morocco.
hear that story.
Yeah, so I've spent when I left school, I promised myself, okay, I'm giving myself 1 year, one full year, to try to get into the industry, to try to have some opportunities. And I met many people. I went to film festivals. I interviewed a lot of famous actors, filmmakers in France, and that was amazing. But I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't have that opportunity to show who I was, what I could do, how I could help, and that was a bit frustrating. And at one point, family member just told me, "Well, I'm living in Morocco now, and I'm doing some voice acting in a dubbing studio. Maybe you should call them." Okay, so I called them, and well, I wrote them, and they called me back, and they told me, "Well, can you come right now?" I was, let me check. Yes, yes, sure. I didn't know what it was, and just starting negotiating a bit of salary or something. But so I arrived in Morocco, and another mentality, another way to work, another culture, and that was huge. That was really big, and it felt really simple in a way. It was just changing a bit, and I've had many great opportunities. I met great filmmakers who hired me after a while, and I worked with them. I worked with Nabil Ayouch, who's a great, famous filmmaker in Morocco, and he trusted me, and he offered me a position where I could do what I wanted, meaning touching a bit every position in the cinema making.
Wow. So there you go. You were 20. You left the Belgian school, and you wanted to get your hands in the camera, and then you went right down, and you made it happen. Cool. Very cool. And you did your first short film in Morocco. Yeah.
Yeah, so I worked full time, more than full time, in a yeah a film production, and for almost a year. And after I quit to start making my own projects, because working, killing myself to work for others was great to learn, but there was a time for that. And after I just finished the chapter, and I said that I wanted to say things, show things, and I wanted to make my own projects now. So I actually didn't start with the film, curiously, but when I arrived in Morocco, I met theater group, and they suggested that I should join them, and so we were touring for a few months, and we did a play in the biggest cities of Morocco. And so I met great people, and I really had a great connection with an actor. And it was the lead actor of the play, and so we told each other, well, we should do something together, and we did a play called Sleuth in English, Le Limier in French, that I adapted, translated, and directed, and I played in it. So that was my first project. That was a long play, an hour and a half long play, and that was a great experience. And in the meantime, I was working on my first script, a short film called The Cage, happening in Morocco as well. And yeah, that's how it happened.
And how can we find the film, The Cage?
The Cage is on my Vimeo channel, Merlin Pitois. So
Merlin Pitois, Pitois, and Merlin like the magical magician. Okay, yeah. So Merlin Pitois, and you could find that film, The Cage, that you did in Morocco. And so after Morocco, you came back to. So you spent 3 years in Morocco making this film, doing the directing. And where did you wind up after Morocco?
well, that was another chapter that I wanted to close. I felt that I had done my time in Morocco, and I started to touch the glass ceiling. That it was hard for me to find money to fund my films. Being a French person in Morocco, so that wasn't the perfect place. And I think I needed to leave more things, and I had never really traveled, so I lived abroad, and I traveled inside Morocco, but um, I didn't really jump into the open, the emptiness ever at that point. And so I didn't want to stay in Morocco, and I didn't want to go back to France. So I chose to go traveling for 3 months in South America, and the 3 months turned into 2 or 3 years, I think. Not full time. I was just coming back to France sometimes to work, to refill the bank account.
And the energy.
Yeah, yeah, and the energy as well. And I was going back on the road, and it's been a great period of time for me. I've seen so many things, met so many great people, and I filled myself with images, sounds, ideas, and that's exactly what you need as a creator, whatever you do, to start making deep things, deep pieces of art.
Right. Cool. And just that travel wasn't you hadn't discovered the bicycle yet. Traveling that was backpacking, hitchhiking, and whatever you did in South America. Yeah.
Yeah, I was mostly backpacking, and but I discovered the mountains while I was traveling. First, in following the Cordillera in South America, and I just love the mountains. And ever since, all my travel were mountain orientated. And so yeah, I've been hiking a lot, trekking a lot by foot. But I discovered bicycle more recently, actually, thanks to COVID. Last summer, I was in Brittany, and I was, well, where could I go? And I had pretty good bike. I had some bags, and so I thought, yeah, let's go for 3 days. And so I came back, and oh, let's go for a week next time. And I really enjoyed that.
Right. Cool. So and the film world, and so just to tie up what we're talking about with the films, you after Morocco, you came back, you did your traveling, filled your head, and so are you working on any current film projects at the moment? Just briefly, let us know. I think you mentioned an animated film.
Yes, and I was mentioning mountains. It's a really great part of my life. I've found so many interesting things about myself and the world and everything in the mountains. So I wanted to put that into a film, and that film is an animated film called Blue Dawn, L'Aube Bleue in French. And yeah, it's you should check it out. There are many things we put it online. We put online. Uh,
And how do I find? How does one find that?
we're on every social media, so we can find us on Instagram, on Facebook. We have a website.
With your name,
So
the same name, Merlin Pitois.
yeah, and L'Aube Bleue, L'Aube Bleue, Blue Dawn.
Okay. Can you spell that?
L'Aube Bleu. L'Aube is dawn, so Laube, Bleue.
Okay. So L'Aube Bleue. Okay, very good. Well, there you go. 21 years old, chucked his career out of the school, left Belgium, wound up in Morocco, and that's the beauty of life. You just follow your heart, you follow your passion, and here we met. And we're sitting in our lovely back garden.
Yeah.
And at 8,000 euros a minute for the animated film, you're gonna have to. How does that work? I mean, that's quite an impressive budget for an animated film. Are you finding it's actually costing you that much?
Me personally, you mean?
No, no.
No.
The film itself.
Um, the good thing is when I started that project, animation wasn't even a choice. It was just obvious. It had to be animated, and I had no idea what animation actually was, the making process. So I discovered that in the meantime of making it, and fortunately, because I wouldn't have done it otherwise, because it's been 4 years already that I'm working on it, and it's gonna be taking us 3 more years, probably, so 7 years for an 18 minutes long film. And so yeah, it cost a lot, and especially our film because we want to do it the old-fashioned way. Everything is hand drawn, hand painted, the backgrounds. So it's taking a lot of time, a lot of people to work on it, and you have just to imagine that to animate, to turn a still image into a movement, you have to at least to have 12 drawings per second, and one image is composed by many drawings, and so you have to reproduce that many times. So we'll have maybe I don't know 100,000 drawings in the end for the film. So it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Well, there you go. I mean, but it just is this perfect. It's just nice to know for the people out here watching it, for myself as well, that it doesn't matter. You're not looking at outcomes. You're looking at the process. You're enjoying the process along the way,
Absolutely.
and wherever the film brings you, or what the film gives to the people of the world, will to be is to be seen.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned a lot with that project and with my own path, that it's not the straight. You don't want to take the straight line. It's boring. When you just open yourself to other ways, when you don't find, yeah, the easiest path, you find so many things about yourself. And actually, I think I'm going to be very sad when the project will be finished. I won't be relieved or happy. Maybe I will, but
Talk to me in 3 years.
yeah, but I'm really enjoying the making, and it's not it's as important that, as the goal itself. And that's really what I've learned, especially by traveling and by taking the some other side roads.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's life. A year and a half ago, lots of people's goals and ideas went out the window, and hopefully, we could take this past year as a learning process. It brought you to the bicycle. It brought many changes, positive changes to our life, and we have to move on and realize goals are nice to maybe be out there and just kind of have as a gentle kind of position that you're headed for, but look at the path in front of you, and just take all of those windy little places through the forest.
And also trust yourself to find the way to be able to. We are really resourceful, and we don't need to plan everything up. We can. That's what you learn when you're traveling, you're trekking, you're biking, and you just go in the wilderness, and you don't know where you're gonna sleep, what you're gonna eat, but there's always something. You won't die. Don't worry.
Hey, whoop. Not yet. Very good. Not yet. Right. We're all gonna die. So perfect way to close the interview. We will survive. We will follow that heart, follow that passion. Thank you, Merlin, for sitting here. Joe Diamidi in Montbron, beautiful Montbron on a beautiful spring day. Joe Diamidi, Montbron, saying goodbye, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, Telemon Brown.
You're welcome. Ciao.